Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tamara, and we're here to review a rather I'm not going to call it controversial, but I think I'm just a little confused. So, if you haven't heard about this duology, I'm a little bit surprised because it's been all over all of my socials, and it is Crown Me Dead and Crown Me Yours. So we're reviewing these books together in one video. One, because they're actually really tiny. Like, I feel like when I got this in the mail, I didn't expect for them to be so small. So then I'm like, okay, whatever, we're gonna review them together. I am gonna rate them separately though, because we're gonna get into it. But if you haven't heard about these books, I feel like all over my socials, people have been bawling their eyes out. That is the only thing I knew about this. I knew that the world is crying over what happens in these books. So I was very inclined to read them because I like me a good tearjerker, especially if it's worth it. So here we are. So we just finished reading them actually moments ago, meaning I read Crown Me Dead yesterday and Crown Me Yours today, like just now. So let's talk about it, okay? So, for those of you who don't know, these are spoiler talk reviews, guys. If you don't care to be spoiled or read the book, stick around. If you do care, step aside, read it, and then come back. So you have been warned. Okay, so when it comes to these books, besides the sob fest of social media with these, I don't think I had any other expectations. I knew that it was highly regarded, it had a big emotional pull to it, and that is literally it. So I didn't know anything about the story, I didn't know anything. So let's just talk the first book for a second. Okay, so actually the first book I gave a 3 out of 5, and then the second one I gave a 4 out of 5. We'll just say that right off the hop. And I think that with the first book, it caught me, I don't know how to explain how odd this book is to me. Like, it was just very odd. Like, the concept of it, I get it. So it has like a little bit of a Beauty and the Beast retelling at the beginning, just at the beginning, and it trickles a little bit in the plot. But then things just get so messy where I'm like, I don't know what I meant to be feeling reading this book. Nothing sad or anything like that. It's just, I don't know who I meant to be developing any form of attachment for in this, which is just, it was such a weird feeling to read this being like, what did I just read? So like in this book, like our female lead, she's a gravedigger. So she like literally buries the dead. And the dead is such a concept in this. One, because death is a character that we realize in this, but also it's just their entire world is plagued by some curse, which is this rot that's infesting people and killing them off, in addition to natural causes that the world faces when people die. So it's ruining society because death is coming in a different way, a little bit quicker. So people are pretty savage, scurrying around for resources, stealing. Like, it just created a very hostile living situation because death is always around because of this rotting curse. And our female lead is lured into a situation where she goes to the palace on principle that she can break this curse by killing herself after she forces the king, who has the crown, which is the cursed part of this whole situation, to love her, kill her, then the curse is lifted. So just when you think about that for a second, the female lead wants this curse lifted because her brother is dying of rot, her dad was on death's doorstep for rot, and then later on her mom is slowly now joining as well. So, but at the point of the story, the brother was the real motivator here. Like, she wanted to save this brother, and this brother is very, very cutesy, very whimsical. They have such a playful relationship. You really feel for that cause. But to think that you want to go sacrifice yourself up to die on speculation, like that was like, this is the first she's heard of this curse. She thought it was bogus when the person who we'll talk about later brings her into the situation, but she like notably agrees to come and die, and then realize she has to get said king with the crown to fall in love with her, and then it will work, and bed her, and she's a virgin, to then die. So like, I just feel like this whole concept was so desperate on like this like forced affection that with this king, you feel for his situation. Like, he is gruesome looking. He is truly on death's doorstep as well, plagued by this rot as well. but he refuses to let anyone like love him. He doesn't want to kill innocent people. He has a good moral compass in that way. And then there's the guy Vale who actually brought her into the situation, and he ends up just being death itself in physical form, but we don't realize that till later in the book. But regardless, they go through this weird segment in this where it's almost supposed to be like a love triangle, and I'm telling you right now, I felt nothing for either side of this love triangle. Like, and that's the part that I think I'm just at a loss, because this girl is strategically trying to like find ways to seduce the king, thinking that's going to bring love because intimacy brings people closer. And she's a virgin. She doesn't know how to do anything. She's scared of it. She's scared of that intimacy. And then she kind of like, through her dark pleasures, in a weird way, wants that with Vale, who has not been by any means, like, I would say, that kind to her. And it's like a twisted fantasy that she feels this allurement to Vale, who is death, but we didn't know that at the time. But like, he's not the king, so like her mission's the king. I'm telling you right now, like, this whole premise was so strange to me. Like, I just feel like I get the motive, but just someone wanting to die so easily on a theory is crazy to me. Crazy. And then her just being pawned around and duped in so many situations. She's trying to figure out the truth. She thinks she's almost there with all the riddles and stuff behind what makes this curse the curse, to understand what she's in for. So I'm glad that she at least had the initiative to do some research to figure out what is in store for her besides dying. Like, will it be in vain? Will it not? So like, I like that. I guess at a certain part, the king and her kind of become genuine friends in a brief moment before the king dies at the end of this. And I just feel like the moment the king died and then she became the ruler is when we segue into this book. Now, I liked this book better because this book was way more of a convincing relationship with Vale. So at the end of this, the king pretty much dies, and he gives her the crown with the whole theory that she has to make Vale / death fall in love with her. Then she will essentially either kill him or he kills her, because they're both going to love each other, and then the curse is lifted. But because death can resurrect, because it's death, she won't fully die if she were to die. But at the time, the whole premise was that she was going to kill death after he actually falls in love with her. And because death has never had a lover before, ever, even like dabbled with affection like he did in this first book, it was potential that this could happen for the second book. And that was part of the king's plan before he died. And they passed along pretty much that mission, which was now this second book. Now, this second book was a true lover story. I feel like this one I understood the hype for, because I felt it a lot in this one. I feel like I was way more captivated in this like slow burn, playful relationship, because I also just felt it was very poetic. Like, she's always been so comfortable with death, like with her role in her, like her line of work, with watching so many people die, with finding comfort in like graves and death. And like, then she's actually loving for the first time to death. Like, he is death, and she's never felt so close to death in so many different principles. And I felt like that was very poetic. And then the same thing in this book, death didn't feel like he could by any means love. He only takes life, but he gives life in many aspects in this. So there was a lot of like poetic moments in this one. So I did like this one better. Now, in terms of like the sob-wrenching reaction of the world, clearly it's from this book. Like the second one, like I said, it had a lot more emotional weight in every way. But it was one of those that reminded me a little bit of Up. So if you've ever seen the Disney movie Up, the woman, so like, okay, so let's just say something about this. Death chose to break the curse by choosing to live a long life of love with our FMC, knowing he's immortal, knowing she will grow old and he'll eventually watch her die, knowing their children will die, knowing the grandchildren in decades will die. And he was entirely afraid of that pain, only to realize that in embracing love, pain and guilt have to follow for you to live your life truly. And so that was a really like sentimental gesture in this, actually. But that's essentially what ends up happening. He chooses this life with her, and she does get old and die. And then in hindsight, also, so does his children. But when she dies, he always said that he wouldn't be able to deal with it. And he's surrounded by all of his kids and stuff too as they watch her die. So you really get a principle of aging in this by the end sequence. And it reminded me of Up. I feel like in Up, at the beginning of that Disney movie, you go through, a young couple go through stages of life, and then the man loses his wife with age and the hardships of life, and you see that trajectory. That is what happens in this, and I feel like that has to be the emotional part that people are talking about, because like, I thought this book was very interesting, and I flew through it because I was way more captivated than whatever weirdness this one was. So I feel like you have to read this to get to this, but it was a really weird ride for the first one, guys. I don't understand it myself. But this one, I wouldn't say I sobbed. I definitely teared up because I did think it was just like a beautiful ending, because he chose love and like they got the full life that they wanted. And then he like understood the weight, and he doesn't regret his decisions at all. And I think that was the sentiment, and all the kids hugging him, like he was so grateful for the life that like she gave him, that he never knew that he would ever fully want. So I think just the sentiment of her passing was really sad, but also really beautiful. So yes, I definitely teared up. I wouldn't say I sobbed, but maybe that's just a me thing. I also never sobbed watching Up. I just teared up for that too. So maybe I'm just not a crazy emotional person. I don't know, but I cry a lot, so I feel like I'm a little confused by, I feel like I expected to feel almost more in that moment. If that is the moment everyone's sobbing about, I feel like I just didn't quite get it. But I do agree it's sad. Like I do, it is an emotional part, and it ended with a beautiful story of generations of him seeing his great grandchildren and things like that. Like he's there, he's with them, he sees Alara, so she is FMC, he sees her in every generation, and that's kind of how this book ends. So it's a beautiful ending about life and death at the end of the day. Would I recommend these books? I'd say yeah. I feel like my overall thoughts on this is I am just a little bit confused with what I just read. I feel like that's my overall take after I just finished reading this, is I kind of sat there and I was like, that was nice, but I think I'm confused. I'm just confused. I feel like confused in what I'm feeling. Like I'm trying to understand if it was maybe overhyped a little bit here, because again, I just feel like these books were really talked about and still are. And I just feel like I don't quite get it, but I do at the same time, specifically with the second one. So I think I'm just trying to figure it out still, because I just finished reading it. So yeah, I guess I'd say I'd recommend it, but I'm a little undecided. I did enjoy these books. I did, especially the second one, but you do have to get through the first to get to this one, because it wouldn't make sense. Like they are directly connected and they pick up right after one another. But I do think if you can make it to the second one, then you are way more invested in the second one, absolutely, than the first. So it's a really quick review for this, because I actually just feel like there wasn't that much that happened in this. Like truly, it like, I don't know what to say. But let me know your thoughts, guys, because maybe I'm just the weird one. Like I feel like everyone else from what I would have spoke to seemingly loved this, and I liked it. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I don't know. I feel like I may be one of the odd ones out for this. I think I'm confused by the hype a little. I think that's why I'm so confused, but let me know what you guys think. I'm really interested. Bye for now, guys.